Alright, go ahead and flip to the page that looks like this one. Should be about 4 pages into the packet. So it's the first inequality here, practice A5, A through C is the heading. Alright, so remember when you're solving inequalities, it's super similar to solving equations. The only difference you have to keep in mind is flip the sign when you divide or multiply by a negative. So for the first one, I'm just going to go ahead and solve like a regular equation. So move your constant to the other side, which leaves me with negative 5x is greater than 20. And then divide both sides by negative 5. But because I'm dividing by a negative, I need to switch that sign. And that leaves me with x is less than negative 4. So go ahead and select the letter that goes with that, so that would be B. Similar with number 2, but I'm going to start by distributing. To distribute that 5, which gives me 2x minus 18 is greater than or equal to 5x plus 15. And then move your variables to the left. It is important to make sure you go to the left with inequalities, because that's where you want your variable to end up. So we end up with negative 3x, drop down to minus 18, drop down to 15, and then move your constants to the other side. So add 18 on both sides. Now we need negative 3x is greater than or equal to 33. And then divide both sides by negative 3. And don't forget, you're going to flip your inequality symbol. Because we divided by a negative, and that's going to be x is less than or equal to negative 11. If you feel like I'm going too fast, you can always pause the video to catch up. So that's the beauty of watching the video. You can pause, rewind, and all of that stuff. So please make use of that. So that leaves me with A. Alright, number 3 is a word problem, so I'm going to read it all the way through before I start translating. So Joel sells ice cream cones at the county fair. He has to rent the equipment for $36 and spend 52 cents on ingredients for each cone. So I'm just underlining and circling some keywords. What is the minimum number of ice cream cones Joel must sell at $1.40 each in order to make a profit? So that is a lot of numbers, but let's just think of it as we're going to have the cost on one side and then the profits on the other, okay? And which one do you want to be bigger? Obviously, the profits. We want our costs to be less than the profits. So for the cost, he's renting he's renting equipment for $36. So he's spending that. And then he's spending 52 cents for each cone. Now you might think, Ms. Kavanagh, why did you not make it negative? Because it's spending money, so that's negative. But the situation is, this is just representing the cost without any negatives included, and we'll see how that works out when we go to solve for it. And then the profit is pretty simple. He's just going to make $1.40 each for each cone. Okay? And now if I solve this, you'll see when I go to subtract and move my variables to one side, I end up subtracting off the cost. So it does end up becoming a negative here. So 36 is less than, oh gosh, I might need a calculator for that one. So 140, 1.4 minus 0.52 is going to give me 0.88. So 88 cents code, and then divide both sides by that. And that's going to give me 36 divided by 0.88 will give me about 41 cones, we'll say. So he needs to sell at least 41 cones in order to make a profit. So there you go. Go ahead and flip to the next page. So number 4, just a regular old solving inequalities problem. So go ahead and distribute. Bring that negative along with it, so that makes it negative 24d plus 16 is greater than or equal to negative 200. My variable is already on the left, so I'm just going to move my constant to the other side, which gives me negative 24d is greater than or equal to negative 216. Divide both sides by negative 24, and you'll end up with less than or equal to, you gotta flip your sign. We divide it by a negative, and negative 216 divided by negative 24. And I know the negatives cancel, that's why I left them off. So you'll end up with e is less than or equal to 9. So that means that it's going to be a closed circle, arrow pointing to the left. So that will be option B. Moving right along, it says look at each student's work and highlight the incorrect step. So what I want you to do is go ahead and pause the video, okay, and try it on your own, and then go back and play it, and I'll be sharing the solutions. So go ahead and pause and see if you can find the mistakes there, and then play it again, and I will go over the solution. So the mistake with Ray's solution is he divided by 7 on both sides, and then he flipped the inequality. But that was unnecessary because he divided by a positive. So I would say that the mistake happened between those two steps. For Sam's solution, one of the mistakes was he flipped these using the commutative property, but you can't really use the commutative property with minus. We only have the addition property, the commutative property of addition. So there's one mistake. And then another was the same that Ray did. He divided by 7 on both sides, which is positive, but yet he flipped the sign, which was unnecessary. Joe's mistake happened at the end. He divided both sides by negative 7, and then he forgot to flip the sign because he divided by negative, so that sign should have been flipped in the last step. Past mistake is a common one that I see. It was from the second to last step to the last step. He switched x and 9/7, but he didn't flip the inequality sign. So when you switch these, you have to also account for that by flipping the direction of the inequality symbol. So there was past mistake. And then Tom's happened in the first step. He, moved the 7x to the other side, which, well, that step's not really helpful. You're allowed to do that. But in that step, he also made the negative 6 a positive, which is illegal in the math world, if you will. So there's your TEI. Go ahead and flip to the next page. Here we're looking at graphing inequality. So this is a big paragraph. It's a little bit intimidating. But let's see what the question is, and if we need to, we'll go back to the paragraph. So it says, which region of the graph represents the possible commissions paid to the salesman for the 2 types of vehicles? So they want to know, okay, well, what was the double shaded region? So really all I have to do is look at the inequalities here and decide, okay, well, based on that symbol, should I have shaded above or below? So because this symbol here is less than, that means I should have shaded below this line. Okay, so that puts B and C in play. If you look at the other inequality, that was greater than a symbol, which means I need to shade above that line. So that leaves me with B as the double shaded region. So really, I didn't have to read that paragraph because the picture, the graphic, really nicely laid that out for us. Moving right along, go ahead and flip the page. Just to highlight all points, which are solutions. So I've already got the graph flipped to nice. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to plot each of these points. And remember, it has to land in this double shaded region here, or on either of these boundaries because they're both solid. So let's go ahead and plot -3, -2. Obviously lands way outside that double shaded region, so that's not going to be a solution. Let's try 1, -3. That is going to be in the double shaded region. 2, -2. Also in that solution region. And then be careful with this one, 0.5, 2. Totally outside. I mean, it looks like it might be on the line, but it's not on the edge of the shaded region, so that's not going to be a solution. And then 1, -1. Looks like it's just inside or maybe even on the line, which either way that's fair game, since it's right on the edge of the solid line. And then 2 and 0.5. That's outside the shaded region, so that's not a solution. And the last one, 3, 1.5 would be this point right here, also not a solution. So there you go, just go ahead and plot the points and see if they land in that double shaded region. So for this CEI, I want you to try it on your own, and so pause the video, and then go ahead and play it once you're done, and I'll go over the answers. So the first thing I noticed with my 3 options, I'm going to label those, is the symbols. So this one right here shows me that I should have 2 solid lines, whereas the other ones, it's going to have 1 solid and 1 dash. So I can already determine that 3, the inequality set of 3, is going to go with this middle graph because they're 2 solid lines. So that has to be that one. The other thing I noticed that's unique about number 1 is this is going to be a horizontal line, right? Remember the acronym, when there's no X, it's a horizontal line, 0 slope, and it's just a Y and a number. So that's going to put me at this 3rd graph because that's the only one with a horizontal line. And then of course by process of elimination that has to be 2. So that's one way to do it. There are obviously other ways you could just take each one and graph them and see which matches up. But I always like shortcuts. So at that point, the next 2 pages we already did in class. So go ahead and flip the page until you get to, let's see, this problem right. No, I believe we did that one. So you get to this problem. All right, so see if you can find that page and then continue the video. So it says, which of the following equations best represents the line graph? Well, one thing I noticed is that it's a positive line. It's moving in the positive direction. So that already eliminates B and D because those don't have positive slopes. And then I noticed that, okay, let's go ahead and just pick 2 points and find the slope. So rise over run shows me that I went up 1 over 2. So the slope is going to be a positive 1 over 2, which gives me C. Number 11 is asking which is the equation of a line with a slope, so that's an M, and a y-intercept of -4. And I'm looking at my options here, and those are all in standard form, or nearly standard form. So I can't really go right to standard form. I first need to start at y equals mx plus b slope-intercept. And if you think about it, it makes sense because I've got the slope and the y-intercept, so I can go ahead and just write in that format immediately without any work really required. So I'm going to replace m with the -1/2 and b with the -4, and now I've got to get it into standard form. So to do that, let's move our x to the same side as y. We're going to get 1/2 x plus y equals -4. And then I need to get rid of my fraction. Remember, to do that, you just multiply by the denominator. So I'm going to multiply everything by 2, which is leaving me with x, plus 2y equals -8. So that would be, let's see, letter D. And I remember doing standard form with you all back in Unit 4, and we hated it. But now that we've spent some time using it, do you remember what we use it for? Well, remember, standard form is really good to know in order to write into the, to use the matrix in your app. So that's very necessary to be able to do. Moving right along, it says which is the equation of the line between points, -2, 2, and 5, 9. So I'm going to go ahead and get my slope first, and then find my y-intercept. So remember, slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So I'm going to take my second y and subtract my first y, and then take your second x and subtract your first x. Be careful though, I'm doing 5 minus -2, which I know makes it a plus 2. So that's going to get me 7 over 7 and a slope of 1. Now I'm going to take that slope and I'm going to plug in one of these points. It doesn't matter which one. I know we like to avoid negatives. So let's use this second one as our x and our y. So use y equals mx plus b, replace y with 9, replace m with 1, since we know what it is now, replace x with 5, and if you do it correctly, the only thing you're missing is b, then you can solve for it. So subtract 5 on both sides, and you'll get b equals 4. So there you go. Put it all together, y equals 1x plus 4. That would be letter A. Let's try the next one. So similar situation, we've got 2 points, so let's go ahead and find our slope. So m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, which makes it plus 2 minus -6. Now here's the deal, I do 8 minus 8, which is 0, and I get over 8. Is that okay to have 0 in the top? Yeah, remember that acronym? Or that picture okay means, okay, 0 on top is just a 0 slope. But remember, you can't have 0 on the bottom, that means it's undefined. So my slope is going to be 0, and what acronym do I have for that? I've got HOI, right? So it's a horizontal line, and it's going to be y equals is the equation, and the slope cancels out the x. And look at your points. What does y equal? What's your y value in both of those? It's 8. So there you have it. Y equals 8. All right, you almost made it. 2 more pages. Go ahead and flip over. So it says which inequality is shown. Well, that's a solid line. So right off the bat, which 2 can we cross off? I can cross off A, because that's not a solid line, doesn't have the or equal to underneath. And C is not a solid line. So now I just need to determine, well, those are the same exact equations, 2x plus 4, but the symbol is different. So is this going to be a less than or a greater than? Well, it's shaded below, so that should be less than or equal to. So that's going to be D. All right, 15, write the equation of each of these graphs. Well, let's just label. 2 of them are HOI, horizontal, and 2 of them are bucks, vertical. So that means this is going to be y equals, this is going to be x equals, y equals, x equals. So then you just look at your graph. What does y equal? We'll go on your y-axis, y equals 2. And then look on your graph for your x, x equals 4. Okay, so the next one, y equals -4, and then x equals -3. So those acronyms are very helpful when it comes to writing the equations for vertical and horizontal lines. All right, last page. Go ahead and flip over. So it says plot 2 points found on the line of this function on the coordinate plane, then draw a line through those points, and be sure to extend through all possible quadrants. So this might look confusing, but just remember that f of x is a replacement for y. So all we're looking at is a slope-intercept equation. So we've got our slope, that's m, and we've got our y-intercept. Remember, you always begin at your y-intercept. So we're going to begin at 4 on our y-axis, and then use our slope, which is negative. So down 2, right 3, down 2, right 3, down 2, right 3. And it wants us to go through all the quadrants, so I'm going to do the opposite to get more points. Up 2, left 3, up 2, left 3, up 2, left 3. And then draw your line. So there you go. It's always good to look and see, okay, my slope's negative, so that better be a negative line, and you can do your little man test. He's looking down, so it isn't negative. All right, next we're going to graph an inequality. This is also in slope-intercept form, so it's ready to be graphed. This is my M, this is my B, and remember, begin at your B. But because it's an inequality, I need to think about what that symbol means. Because it's got the line underneath, that means it's going to be a solid line. And because it's less than, you're going to shade below. So start at -2, and go down 3, right 4, down 3, right 4, 4, up 3, left 4, up 3, left 4, and draw that solid line. And shade below. So all of these are possible solutions in this shaded region. And because it's a solid line, I'm including all the points on that line as well. So 18 goes with this. It says, highlight the points which would be included in the solution set. of that inequality there. Oh, except, so the symbol is different. This is actually a less than. So that means that the only difference is it should be a dashed line, and I'm no longer including the points that are on the line. So that's really important to notice. So now that we've kind of fixed that to look at 18, let's go ahead and plot those points and see if they end up in the shaded region. So -2, 0. That ends up right on my dashed line. So is it included? No. Think about it in like sports. It's out of bounds. The line is out of bounds. Let's go to -8, 1. That is in the shaded region. -1, -2. That's going to be just inside the shaded region. So I'm not exactly sure if that was really on the line or in the shaded region. So how could I tell, how could I be sure? Well, you can plug it into your inequality. So let's just practice that. I'm going to replace y with -2 and replace x with -1. And see what we end up with. So that gives me -2 is less than multiplying is +3/4 -2. Okay, simplify that. So it's going to be 3/4 - 2 is going to be -5/4. So is -2 less than -5/4? Think about it, you know, -5/4 is really -1.25. So is -2 less than that? It is. It's actually more negative. So you can always tell by plugging it in if all else fails. Let's look at 8.3. Obviously, not a solution. What I want you to do at this point is pause the video and try the rest on your own, and then you can play it once you're done, and I'll go over the answer. So pause it, try it, and then come back and finish playing. So now I'm going to go to -3, -1. That is in the solution region. 3, -5, just inside the solution region. -9, 4. That's going to be just inside, I believe, but let's just be sure. So I can plug in my x and my y. So that's 4 is less than -4 times -9 -2. And that seems intimidating to simplify. You can always type it in your calculator. So I'm just going to type in -3/4 times -9 -2. And that's going to give me, I like the decimal, easier to compare, 4.75. So is 4 less than 4.75? It sure is. So I know for a fact that that would be a solution. -4/4, obviously outside the solution region. -4/1 on the dashed line, so that's no good. -3/0, also on the dashed line, so that is no good. Well, you know what? I don't know if it ends up right on the dashed line. I'm going to have to plug that one in. So replace y with 0, replace x with -3. So it's going to be 0 is less than 9/4 -2. Let's see, 9/4 -2. Going to be 1/4. Is 0 less than 1/4? Yes, so it is actually a solution. -9/9. That is going to be way out of the solution region. 0, -3. It's going to be just inside. And then 4, -2. Nope. -5, 2. Yes, that would be a solution. -5. I think I went too far actually. -5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2. That would be outside. And then -5/4. That's outside. And -8, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 on the dashed line. So that's not a solution. So our only solutions are those 6 ordered pairs. Yeah, those 6 ordered pairs. Alright, so at this point, you're done, and you can go ahead and get started on your classwork. If you need to, go back to any part of the video and rewatch it if you struggle with something or you